Are you ready to come back from your next trip with photos that you absolutely love, that are amazing? Well, today I'm going to talk through 5 photo tips that every traveler should know. Hey, welcome back. If you're new to this channel, I'm Diane, and at the PhotoFluent channel, our goal is to help you turn down the volume of your inner critic, develop the confidence to get creative with your photos, and take photos that are truly capturing the beautiful memories that you experience. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications. Okay, let's jump in. 5 photo tips that every traveler should know. Number 1, it's time to give aperture priority mode a try. Okay, so you're ready to up your photography game from your phone, so you get the camera. And then you think, I don't really know what to do with that camera. There's a lot of dials, a lot of buttons. And I get it, it can get confusing. So the first step away from automatic mode, I think, is aperture priority mode. You pick the aperture and your camera picks the rest. You just go to that top dial on your camera and flip it over to A or AV, depends on your make and model, but that puts your camera in aperture priority mode. And then you pick the aperture. Now, if you're thinking, I can't really remember what aperture is all about, well, that indicates how much of your photo is in focus. So a low aperture number, say like f4, will give you just a small area in focus. Or f16, the whole thing will be in focus. And so now you can play around creativity-wise with your photos by just moving one dial. So give that a try. And if you need a little refresher on aperture and how it all works, I have a blog post for that. I'll link to it below. Okay, tip number 2. I think it's really important to keep in mind when you're traveling with your camera, you're not just there to create pretty photos. Now, if you're a National Geographic photographer and you're planning a trip specifically for photos, then yes, that's different. But if you're a traveler going on a great vacation, you want beautiful photos, but you also want a lot of memories. And of course, we'd love for all those memories to be beautiful, but I think it's easy to get caught up in what's the most beautiful scene, the iconic photos that you want, and all of those are important. I used to think if it's not wall-worthy, I didn't take the photo. But I missed out on a lot of the details and the memories doing that. So what I recommend to you is think of this as a memory excavation journey. When you're looking around at this market in France or the piazza in Italy, think about, what would I like to remember? Maybe it's the cobblestones, maybe it's the people, maybe it's the food at the market. There's so many little details that you would not remember if you didn't have photos of them. So yes, go for the iconic, go for the beautiful landscapes, but at the same time, think about memories and details. You'll have a much broader series of photos that really capture your story. Number 3, when you're traveling, lighting can kind of be a mess. So unless you're traveling specifically on a photography workshop where everybody lines up at sunrise and then at sunset because of the golden hours, you're probably going to be taking photos all day long. And that's how I travel. Sure, I sometimes take those photos at the golden hours with a tripod, but usually I want to tell my story, and my story happens all day, every day. So that might mean bright light and dark shadows all at the same time. It might mean cloudy. I don't get much sun at all those days. Or it might mean low light or even kind of dark. Part of dealing with that light is understanding how your camera works. It makes it easier. But I'll give you a couple of quick tips around lighting that can help. When it's really bright out and there's dark shadows in the same image, it's always safer to underexpose just a little bit. If you underexposed, you're saving the highlights from being blown out. Once the highlights are blown out, the detail in that area is lost. But the shadows being a little dark is okay because you can bring those up later. You can bring the detail out of the shadows. So anytime you're not quite sure, it's better to underexpose if there are bright areas. Now, when it starts to get low light, that's when you really want to pull in your friend ISO. Turn up the ISO when the light gets low and you have a lot more option. And that leads me to the next tip, number 4, which is don't be afraid of editing. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, I don't want to edit. I've heard it all. I've heard, I've tried editing, it's just too hard, it takes too much time. I'm afraid to start editing because I know it's going to be hard, or even it's so frustrating that I wanted to throw my computer out the window. But what I'm telling you is it doesn't have to be really hard and it doesn't have to be super time consuming. There are a few basic, easy edits that will help most of your photos. Now you can go further with editing, but there are some quick and easy places to start. And yes, I have a blog post for that. So I will also link to that. It's the 5 basic edits to get you started. And it can make a drastic difference in those photos where the shadows are so dark, you can't quite see them, and the highlights are really bright. You can kind of even that out and have a whole different photo. Okay, the other thing I hear from people is, I don't want to do editing, I want my photos to look natural. Well, here's what I say to that. Your photos can look very natural, just better than what you created in your camera. Kind of like when we ladies put a little makeup on. You can go all out Tammy Faye with bright blue eyeshadow and really thick mascara, and if that's your choice, that's okay. You can edit your photos to get these crazy effects. It's an artistic choice. On the other hand, with your makeup, you can barely put any on so nobody really knows you're wearing it. It just helps enhance your skin tone or bring your eyes out a little bit. That's the way I like to edit. I just enhance my photos because sometimes I get my photos back and think, that's not what I remember seeing. The scene I saw was so beautiful, so dynamic, so full of color. And the photo I get back is kind of dull. Sometimes it's the camera settings you picked, and sometimes your camera is just only capable of doing so much. And editing can just give you that little boost so it matches your memory. So don't take that off the list of I'm never going to do that. Consider it and try out the blog post to give you a few ideas to get started. All right, and number 5. This one is to give yourself permission to make mistakes and not be perfect. Anytime we're learning anything, there are a lot of mistakes that are going to be made. So you have to kind of let go of that and embrace that you are going to make mistakes. In the process of learning, you try new things, you don't know what you're doing, and you just get out there and do it anyway. And the more mistakes you make, the closer you'll get to really knowing what you're doing, but also being comfortable with it. And when is the time to make mistakes? Right now, not when you're packing your equipment and getting ready to go on a trip. It's kind of too late. And then you'll be stressed about figuring out your camera and taking good pictures because you don't want to come back from, say, Italy or Iceland with a whole bunch of bad photos. Trust me, I've been there. Japan trip, I'm talking to you. Get your camera out. Get comfortable with it. Try these tips now so that you're ready for your trip. And if you want some more tips and inspiration to get your camera out right now, make sure you grab the free Crazy Good Photo Starter Kit at bphotofluent.com/crazygoodphotos. And of course, I'll also put a link to that so that you can click right to it and download your copy. So here are your takeaways today. First, get out your camera, try these 5 tips, and download the starter kit to take it even further. Don't forget to subscribe. New videos come out every week, and I'll see you again soon.